Hello, Austin Yorsky.
Hello.
From Canada, the place where we make the maple syrup.
Do you guys have Christmas in a couple of weeks?
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
I wasn't sure if you had kind of some kind of special Christmas.
Canadian Christmas? We do get Boxing Day. That's kind of like Canadian Christmas.
We already had the Boxing Day conversation, didn't we?
Yeah. But, I'm just bringing it up again. Because there's not a lot that makes Canada special.
I'm sorry.
Except for me.
Do you want
I make Canada special in that short bus kind of way. Sorry?
Do you want to record a podcast next week? Like, I don't know how, like last year we did one like on the Christmas week, but I don't know if anyone listened to it, so.
I don't know either. That's
okay.
Not really something that I would be able to tell you.
Well, presuming that I leave this in, I guess let us know in the comments if you want an episode next week. We might have to record it early. Like maybe we'll record it Saturday or something and then post it on Monday. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, all right. Okay, that's... Although, I don't know about you, but it's like the season right now, the pre-Christmas season, like this is... Everybody has, their Christmas dinners with their family. There's, it's like, okay, well, we'll do it on Christmas Eve so that then tomorrow we can, go to your mom's place, and then we can have, dinner there. And then there's, all these companies and friends who are all like, yeah, nobody's going to want to come to our Christmas party if it's on, Christmas Day or, Boxing Day or Christmas Eve. I've got a great idea. How about everybody on Earth move their Christmas party back a week so that it's actually way more crowded the 2 weeks before Christmas? That's what's going on right now, Austin. I've reached that point of time in my life where people are, throwing holiday parties, and I have, work Christmas parties, and then my girlfriend's work Christmas party to go to, and it's too much of it.
That sounds more like an obligation than a party. That sounds like something, it's like a chore to do. Isn't that the opposite of a party? Isn't that the entire opposite of the point?
You would, you'd think these people would realize that, but nope. So yeah, I had to go to my Christmas party on the weekend. My company Christmas party. It wasn't my Christmas party. There wasn't a lot of partying. It wasn't even that Christmassy, really. Although they did play Rah Rah Rasputin. So. I'm
not a partier. I do not party.
I'm a party only in the sense that a Canadian political party is a party. Where everybody's like, woo, Johnny party. I'm like, yeah.
Vote for me.
Time to get all caucus up in this bitch. Which is a Canadian political party term.
We have caucuses. Cockeye,
yeah,
if you will.
I'll bet you do. I'll bet you do.
Stop riding my cockeye.
Well, stop waving it in my face.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, there isn't really a lot of news. This is obviously the holiday season. All the games are already out.
Not all the games.
Walking Dead Season 2, Episode 1.
Most of the games.
Yeah. I've been saying that. I'm seeing Game of the Year posts pop up, and I'm like, guys, there are 3 more games that come out. Hold your horses. You gotta play Walking Dead. I can't even pronounce it. Republic, but with a Q.
Republique.
Republique. I know that's coming to PC eventually, but I think it might be out on iOS next week.
Maybe.
And there's something else too. I think there's still games coming out in 2013, but everyone's rushing their Game of the Year shit out the door to be first.
Yeah, they want that. They want it bad.
Assholes.
Yep, I know. Can't just keep it in their pants.
Yeah, I don't know.
Of course, none of it matters to me. I mean, the games that are remaining in the year, because Octodad, Dadliest Catch, is going to be next year. So
you've already locked that in as your pick?
I've locked that in. That's Game of the Year. I'm picking it. In fact, I'm calling Octodad, Dadliest Catch as Game of the Year 2013 just because of its theme song.
Yeah, I put that in an earlier episode, didn't I? So everyone's familiar with that.
Yeah. Yes, you did. But I mean, the theme song is like, it's so good it transcends Game of the Year to this year.
Did you hear the funk song I put in the episode you did with Yusuf?
That was not funk.
The song is called Forced Funk by Danny Baranowski. So it's literally funk.
Just because you call it funk doesn't make it funk.
It was funk. Funk you, Johnny.
I would have been funked last week if somebody had used real funk.
I actually was looking through my iTunes library for funk music, but all of it had like copy protection, so I couldn't import it into Audacity.
Yeah.
So I actually would have put in real funk if it had been a way to do it without, circumventing copyright. Which is a thing. That's probably the news we're going to talk about. Copyright. It's a thing. We should talk about it.
Yeah, we could talk about that.
That's what's going on. I'm not looking forward to that conversation, but I guess we need to have it.
Probably.
I played a couple games. So.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
All right. Okay, cool. I guess that means we'll get started then?
Unless you want to bullshit some more. Anything you want to bullshit about?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I haven't really had anything interesting happen to me this past week, because it's all been, fucking holiday bullshit, All this, ooh, go to this Christmas party. Ooh, go to this Christmas party. Ooh, did you know it's Christmas? And I'm like, shut up. I don't know, it's weird because, you know what, holiday, because everybody talks about this fucking holiday stress that goes on, right? Everybody's all like, oh, fucking holiday stress, it's a thing. I've never let the holidays stress me out, but for some reason the past 2 years are getting to me, man. I don't know if I'm wearing down, maybe my skin is getting thinner or something like that, but Jesus. For some reason, he's been getting all up in my grill. His reported birth, or the celebration of it anyways. Born in a manger in fucking December. That kid would freeze to death.
In Bethlehem?
Yep.
Are we aware of how their weather was 2,000 years ago?
I'm gonna guess at night and in December, pretty fucking cold. It's not like they had central heating. You're talking about
saying, maybe we should call it the Doppler people first.
Yeah, if you want to. I'm merely suggesting it seems kind of suspect, right, that during the Middle Ages, right, these festivals happened in the wintertime and in the springtime, really big for the pagans, right?
Mm.
Ooh, fertility, spring, oh, winter solstice, aging. And then, all of a sudden, some dude in a robe, presumably with a beard, was all like, hey, did you know that Jesus was born on one and died on the other one?
If we're going to start pulling at the loose threads of Christianity here, we're going to be online for a while.
I'm not arguing against the existence of a Jesus.
This podcast took a really theological turn all of a sudden.
No, I'm not. I'm not arguing against the existence of a Jesus. I believe in a Jesus. I believe there was a Jesus around. It was a time for Jesus.
I know several, although they prefer to be referred to as Jesus.
Well, there you go. But I don't know. I'm a little skeptical about his birthday and the day he died.
I'm pretty disappointed that this didn't turn into a discussion of Krampus.
Krampus?
You don't know about Krampus?
I don't know about Krampus, but
I'm pronouncing it weird.
I am intrigued. Tell me of this thing you call Krampus.
Here comes this motherfucking link. You're not even ready for Krampus, bitch.
I doubt I am. All right, let's do this. Okay. All right. I am vaguely familiar with this, but I think I've heard it under a different name, possibly.
Other names. There's a whole section for them.
Yeah.
Klaubauf is used through Austria.
No, it wasn't Klaubauf.
Gumpfnickel?
It's definitely not Gumpfnickel. Pelsnickel. There we go. I've seen Pelsnickel.
Oh my god. It's a shame all these pictures are in portrait format, because some of them would make pretty good BT podcast title cards.
Yep. Phew.
I'll link to Krampus under the podcast, but you should really do some reading on this guy. He's pretty awesome. He's like the Christmas devil in Germanic culture.
Now you know what I want to see? I want to see Krampus Krumping.
Now it's my turn to learn something. What's Krumping? Is that like twerking?
I wouldn't say it's exactly like twerking, but I mean it I gotta find you a video of Krumping. It is insofar as it is like, because I know that there's this big thing where people are like, ooh, but twerking is about the celebration of, you know, the genetic body of the African American woman, right?
That was a really delicate way of saying dat butt.
Dead ass, yo. But here we go. Krumping is also kind of a it is also sort of like a mode of urban dancing. Right?
Krumping with Krampus.
It is. Yep. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna post you this video of Krumping here. So this is what Krumping looks like. It might take a couple of minutes for it to actually pop off, as the kids say.
So it's like breakdancing?
Yes and no, insofar as that breakdancing is... When you say breakdancing, I usually find that there's a really acrobatic component to it. You know, breakdancing is way more acrobatic, but Krumping is... it's more upright. It's kind of about fronting.
This is like the whitest conversation anyone's ever had.
It may very well be.
Twerking and Krumping and breakdancing and fronting?
Yes.
I don't know if we're qualified here.
How is your 401k? There we go. Whitest conversation ever.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, so now I want to see Krampus Krumping.
What is... Okay. I'll probably link this video too, so this is gonna be... We're gonna have to fucking have an entire visual component to this in a couple minutes, because we've done nothing but discuss things which other people can't see.
It's true. And I mean, like, you know, watching people crump who don't know how to crump is pretty fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
You know, Austin, it's fortunate that we live in a time where you can both pop and lock it. Because when, say, you know, when my parents were young, they could either pop it or lock it. And it was a time of no freshness. Nobody brought it. It was they were sad times.
I'm not up on my modern dancing. I got off with the Macarena.
Yep.
And now the kids today are doing all kinds of really crazy shit. There's a kind of dancing called skanking. Do you know about skanking?
No.
You don't know about skanking?
I don't know about skanking.
Okay. It's a...
like, I mean, I'm sorry, but at any point in time where someone's trying to get me into a dance craze, and they're all like, hey, have you tried skanking?
It's a ska thing.
Good for them.
But it sounds way dirtier than it is.
Oh, okay. Wait a second. I do know skanking, except nobody ever called it skanking to me.
What do you know? Is there a Canadian term for it? Is it slutting?
Not especially. No, it just, you know, I grew up with punk rockers. When I was in high school, I was all, I don't know. I guess these days you'd call it emo, but back in the day it was industrial. I was industrial. I wasn't goth because I didn't wear makeup. I was like, you know, I was into industrial and electronic music and shit like that. So I had, like, you know, huge ass boots and leather trench coats and, like,
Do you have like a skinny puppy tattoo or something?
No, but I got shirt patches. I have some skinny puppy shirt patches and all that. Oh yeah.
We would have been the best friends in high school.
Oh yeah, is that so?
Oh my god.
But yeah, so but I was like the only guy in my school that was really into that scene. So it was like everybody kind of thought I was hardcore because they didn't really know anybody else that was into the industrial music scene or anything like that. But I hung out with a bunch of punk rockers basically. So I knew a bunch of guys that would play in like punk bands and like ska bands and things like that. And so yeah, I spent a good portion of my youth at like punk and ska concerts, straight edge, which I was not, but a lot of them were. It was a magical time.
I don't know. A lot of people are super nostalgic for high school, but I spent a lot of it on crutches, so I'm kind of past that.
No.
College is better.
I'm not. I'm not suggesting for a second there that high school was a magical time. That's not it at all. I mean, like the late '90s were kind of a magical time.
Mm.
There was something weird about them.
Ah, yes, the late '90s when I was playing Pokemon and watching Power Rangers.
See, magical.
Oh my gosh. So we've discussed 6 dance crazes and a Christmas demon. I guess it's time to start the video game podcast.
Sounds like an appropriate lead-in to me. All right.
Should be educational, yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another weekly episode of Great Portrayals in Literature. Yes, Great Portrayals in Literature, the podcast that examines events in literature, recreated events, people, conditions, times in history, and examines how carefully crafted and how accurate and how well represented these usually factual, although we do sometimes bend the rules for historical fiction to see how accurately they can paint an era in literature gone by. This week, I, your host, Johnny Maloney, will be guiding you through this episode of Great Portrayals in Literature, where we focus on conjunctivitis. Now, it is true that conjunctivitis has been an oft-ignored condition in literature, pink eye not really making it into many great works of art over the centuries. But today, conjunctivitis in literature specialist Austin Yorsky is going to deliver us a myriad tour of some of the greatest examples of conjunctivitis in literature. And as I understand it, Austin, we're going to be starting with a book, Justine, I think it's called. Now, Austin, for our listeners here, tell us about the book Justine, and about, of course, its author, who I think is named the Marquis de Sade. And why is conjunctivitis so important to the Marquis de Sade's work?
You're an asshole. I've never actually read any de Sade. Have you?
Maybe.
Like I'm very aware.
Who's asking?
I'm aware of him and what his work is about and stuff. It's important in some ways.
Yeah, it's important.
That's where we get the word sadistic.
Yes,
but I've never actually read any of the things he's written. Although I think, wasn't there a movie, Quills, about him?
Yeah.
I've seen that a while ago.
I've seen that too.
That
was all Jeffrey Rush and Kate Winslet.
Yeah, I haven't actually read his books, though, so I cannot provide any insight into Justine. Although, when you said conjunctivitis in literature, all I could think about was that Seth Rogen movie.
Yeah.
Where he gives everybody in his house pink eye. What was that?
I don't know.
It's
But that's not literature, so.
I know, but it's the only like pink eye in popular culture thing I can think of. Oh, Knocked Up.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
Oh, I remember it being reasonably funny, although I prefer Pineapple Express.
Do you feel that the representation of pink eye in Knocked Up did the condition justice then?
I'm sure I've had pink eye, I just don't remember it. Have you had pink eye?
I have had pink eye, yes.
Okay. It's bad, right?
It's pretty bad.
Okay.
I mean, like it's maybe not as bad as it is phenomenally disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to link to that under the cast, because if you click on the Wikipedia article for conjunctivitis, you're going to get 50 pictures of gooey eyeballs.
Oh yeah, you're going to get some really rough visual aids on that article right there. But yeah, I mean, because when you think about it, like a mild case of conjunctivitis is sort of like, oh, your eye is a little bit inflamed, and like maybe you can't blink properly, and it's itchy. But then it goes sideways, like it gets bad.
Have you ever been doing like research or something, and you had to like look at pictures of like really disgusting stuff? I remember I was doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was reading up on, like, I think it was like necrotoxin, is the stuff that brown recluse spiders have.
Oh yeah.
And there's like pictures of just people's just gaping holes just melted in their bodies. Fucking disgusting.
I know a guy that got bit by a brown recluse actually. He hasn't shown me any gaping holes in his body or otherwise.
Presumably because he did the smart thing and got medical treatment, right?
Absolutely, he did. Yes.
That's the way to go.
Yeah. But I mean, Austin, you may remember a particular health anomaly I experienced.
Which one was that? Was that your prostate?
Yeah.
Call back to episode 2.
That was a fun one to Google.
Oh no!
Because when I didn't know what was wrong with me, I was like, I got some problems here, and I'm just throwing this out there to any and all listeners. If ever you encounter a strange problem with your genitals or the region thereabouts, do yourself a favor. Don't go to Google. It is not your friend.
Don't Google prostate.
Don't do it. Not just prostate. I just mean don't write symptoms in there. Don't be like, oh, there's something wrong with my ding dong. What is it? Because, it's terrible. I mean, we're all a little bit suggestible, when it comes to our health, so it's sort of like, hey, don't do it, man, because there's so many things that could go wrong down there. You don't even want to know. If there's something wrong in your swimsuit zone, go see a doctor.
Swimsuit zone.
Just go see a doctor. Don't mince words. Don't be like, no, I'm going to wait it out and see if it's okay. Do you know what happens if you wait it out to see if it's okay? You have syphilis for the rest of your life.
They're going to say it falls off.
Well, no, this is the thing is about STDs is syphilis is the perfect test. It is the perfect test to see if you are a cognizant individual capable of looking after yourself. Because it's like for the first 2 weeks or something like that, syphilis gives you every single possible symptom in the book.
You seem to have first-hand knowledge of this, Johnny. Is there something you're not telling us?
I would tell you, believe me, in excruciating detail if I had ever contracted syphilis. I have not. Oh. But it's just it is. It's for 2 weeks or something, you get every symptom in the book. It burns when I pee, disgusting discharge, lesions, warts. It's wow, go see a doctor. There's something wrong with your peen. And then you go to the doctor, and he's like, oh, here, take these pills. And then you're good. That's it. It goes away. If you leave it for the 2 weeks, it gets in your spine forever. And as you get older, it gradually makes you insane.
Johnny, I think your advice is much more applicable to, let's say, advanced nations with, health care available to everyone. Where I'm from, going to the doctor is a year's salary, and sometimes you just would rather have crazy spine demons and die.
Austin.
Yes?
I feel bad for your dong.
My dong is fine.
I just, I know that you're in a steady relationship right now. That's good. Less chance of something terrible happening to it. But I'm just saying, if you wake up one morning and there's something wrong, okay?
Uh-huh.
Don't Google.
I will not Google something is wrong with my dong.
Just go to the doctor. Just go to the doctor.
Are you going to pay for it, Johnny? Are you going to foot my dong bill?
I might.
Actually, it's funny that we're talking about STDs because I actually recently graduated from Florida State University, which, by the way, we are number 1 in the country at football right now, going to the BCS championship.
I keep
Sidebar.
waiting for you to say that you're number 1 in STDs or something like that.
I think we are. Like, that's where I was going with that. I heard sometime it was like 60% of our student body has STDs or something. It's like a laughably high stat. I don't have it on hand, but I remember hearing it, and I was like, Jesus Christ. Every party is fucking Russian roulette with your junk.
Huh. Apparently, this is what I've heard at least, the biggest city in Canada for STDs. And I mean, you would think, right, that it would be like, ooh, it's obviously got to be like a high population center. So you might think Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. If you know a little bit more about Canada, you might be like Regina. But no, it's actually a place called Banff. You ever heard of Banff, Austin?
No.
It's a little ski resort town in Alberta. Apparently, the reason why is because people go there, and then they ski, and then they're like, what else are we going to do? I know, have sex with strangers.
Isn't that where BT writer James lives, Alberta?
BT writer James does live in Alberta, but he lives not in Banff, but the respectable city of Edmonton, which has a fantastic local music scene, and is also the home to an office of BioWare.
But yeah, I mean, to you that means something. To me, like, Canada is a land of mystery. I have no idea how far Edmonton is from anything, so I just assume it's really close.
I can drive to Edmonton in about a day or so.
Uh-huh.
So, and that's not like a full 24 hours. I could probably like leave in the morning and get to Edmonton like in the evening. So, like a full day's driving, and I could get to Edmonton. And that's like driving through mountains and shit. So
through the mountains, you don't want to go over them, just straight through them.
I stop for no man, nor nature, nor beast. Not even the weak nuclear force can stop me.
Johnny. Half an hour into this recording, would you like to talk about video games, or are we just gonna keep talking about dicks?
Just don't Google. Just don't Google it. Just don't. It's bad for you. It's a bad scene.
I don't remember who said this to me. I think maybe I was having a conversation with my brother or something. It was like, isn't it weird to think that you can go to Google and see more dicks in a minute than like most prostitutes would have seen their entire lives throughout all of human history? Like, there's just so many dicks available for perusal.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty weird. It's always kind of struck me as pretty fantastic. Like when I realized that I'm living like a life of opulence that not even like kings 300 years ago had achieved. It never really occurred to me that I could be like, and I have as many dicks at my beck and call as I possibly could want.
You got to think about these things, Johnny. It's the future. I guess
if I'm that interested, I just take my pants off, and I'm like, there we go.
There it is.
There it is. There you are.
Oh, man.
Although I am one of those guys that doesn't have a nickname for my penis. I know that's something that guys do. Do you have a nickname for your penis, Austin?
I personally don't. Women have given it nicknames. I don't go about that sort of business. Nicknames have to be bestowed. You can't decide your own nicknames.
No, but guys do.
It's gauche.
Yeah, it's a little gauche. It's a little inappropriate socially. I get that.
These things have to evolve naturally. Johnny.
Yeah.
Video games?
If we must.
This feels more like next week when no one's going to be listening and there's nothing to talk about because it's Christmas, and then we can just do a bullshit episode. But like, this is the actual where we should try to probably stay on topic.
We're warming up. We're warming up to next week. So
all right, I guess I'll hit this. When we introduce the news story, because there isn't much news, but there's a couple topics.
Yeah, you go for it.
We can delve into. So YouTube went apeshit recently.
And not just the company, but the users as well.
First of all, I mean, there was the whole change to their comment section, which is really beneath my notice because I just don't give a shit about the YouTube comments.
But Austin, did you know that YouTube has a new comment section?
Ron Paul 2012. But then they went and revamped their content ID system, which means literally millions of videos have been hit with copyright strikes. The funniest ones are by people who made the content. Like, I've seen musicians who got claims on songs they wrote that they posted to their YouTube, since someone says that they own it. Yeah. Just absolutely horrendous. But, I mean, video games, especially hard hit. Just tons of Let's Plays. All kinds of, like, legitimate reviews and stuff. It's a fucking circus out there. A lot of people are furious. It's threatening a lot of livelihoods. We'll get into that in a second. I just want to address that the publisher reaction has been interesting, because I know, like, Deep Silver immediately came out and said, yo, contact us if you got hit. We'll take that shit down. Like, you can do whatever you want. Like,
Devolver Digital, very much the same. They were right out of the gate. They were like, hey, if you have any problems, let us know, and we will strike this down, and you will become more powerful than you could possibly imagine.
Yep. Ubisoft had an interesting one where they like sort of said the same thing, but then there was like a clause in there like, you should ask us permission. Did you see that? They were like,
you're talking about the forum post, right?
I think so, yeah.
Now I kind of understand what they were getting at. You know, because there was really, you know, like they were basically trying to make sure that if you have like footage or use, you know, like Ubisoft stuff or something like that, that it doesn't get out of hand, because they were like, no racist language, no homophobia, no this, no that, no blah 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 blah. You know, but yeah, there was that one little sentence in there that was like, oh, and you know, like it would be great if, you know, I don't know, just wrote a letter and said, hey guys, would it be okay? Because we'd appreciate that. And that's yeah.
That's some slippery slope shit, because then when publishers don't like negative reviews, then we start getting into issues of censorship.
Which is no good.
It's no bueno.
No bueno. Am I Spanishing now?
You're Espanoling real hard.
Espanoling.
There's a lot of different ways we can attack this from, because it's a complicated issue. It has to do with like international copyright law, people's just general internet behavior, stuff like that, you know, intellectual property discussions. Where do you want to start here? Because we've talked about this before, generally about, you know, like monetizing Let's Plays and stuff. And I think we're of the agreement that it's a legitimate kind of expression to do commentary on a gameplay footage that was made by somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That doesn't mean they're all good. I wanna like make that absolutely clear, that just because you make a Let's Play doesn't mean you have discovered the next wheel.
Yeah, 98% of them are shit, but that doesn't mean they don't deserve to exist.
Precisely, they just deserve to exist and be ignored.
But like, you know,
I'm not talking to any of you guys. I'm sure you guys are amazing.
But like, Nintendo tried to claim the monetization of Let's Plays before, but now they're just getting struck down in mass. So
yeah, it's kind of ridiculous to say that you are entitled to it. Although it you know, I mean, it does raise, again, I think it raises more interesting questions about like what it is that you get when you buy a video game.
Mm-hmm. You're just getting the license to enjoy it when they say you can. There's like the SimCity discussion we've had before.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, you know, because and I honestly don't think that it's going to end well for the publishers, at least for the publishers who see fit to have a fight over it. I don't think it's going to end well, because common sense is basically going to dictate that when somebody buys something from you, they get it. And it's not as though video games are a passive medium. They're an active medium. That's like saying if you watch someone going swimming, then surely you must gain all the benefits of having gone for a swim yourself.
Well, do you remember this was the MPAA? That's the music people, right?
Yeah.
They wanted people to pay. Like,
No, wait,
if they
sorry. That's the MPAA is the Motion Picture Association.
Okay, which one's the music one? I remember
the RIAA.
they wanted people to pay money for every time they played a song that like they bought digitally and stuff. Do you remember that shit?
I do remember that.
These motherfuckers are nuts, and they have no idea how any of this shit actually works. The people in suits making these decisions at, record companies, at video game publishers, at film studios, like, this is all just numbers on a spreadsheet to them. Like, they don't care about things like customer satisfaction and brand loyalty. They just, what makes the most money right now? And
it's all about the maximization of profit. Like, it is. It's all about it. This is like, I don't know if I can't remember if it was earlier last week or this past week. We were linked to a Cracked article. Did you read the Cracked article?
Yeah, about how the industry was going to crash.
Yeah, the games crash of 20XD4 or whatever. And the first point, I've harped on about the first point constantly, and that is the people who are in charge of making the decisions don't give a toss about games.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing can be said of, like, every single one of these organizations. They don't find a guy who's really good at making movies and put him in charge of the Motion Picture Association of America. Because the guy who's really good at making movies is going to make movies. He's going to make really good movies. He doesn't have fucking time to be the head of the Motion Picture Association of America. He's making a movie. He's busy. And it's the same for the Record Industry Association. It's the same for, video game publishers. You don't become the CEO of a company because you're great at making games. If you're great at making games, you make games. Congratulations. And it is galling to think that it's like these companies keep roomfuls of lawyers that they, like, starve purposely for, like, weeks at a time, and then, like, open the grate at the top and go, how can we maximize profits? And somebody barks up, make them pay every time they play a song! And they toss, like, a pig carcass down there that they have to fight over to eat or some shit. Because that's, like, that is the only conceivable way I can think that anybody would come up with an idea that shitty and that crazy that anybody would say, let's do it because it's all we've got.
That's a beautiful mental image. Oh my gosh.
And that's honestly what I see here as well. Because, I mean, it's not like, at least the best Let's Players, okay? The best Let's Players, you don't sit down and watch them because they play certain games. You're not like, I really want to watch a Let's Play of somebody playing Minecraft because I don't know what it's about. You watch Let's Plays because you have you wind up developing a particular affinity for like a broadcaster. Maybe you're interested because, you don't know what Amnesia: The Dark Descent looks like. Or perhaps you've heard of a game called Happy Wheels. And you're like, I wonder what this is about. And then you find a broadcaster that you're sort of like, this guy's funny. He's clever. He's on the ball. He's like, I enjoy watching this guy talk about a video game he's playing. You don't enjoy watching a video game. Like, that's not it. Or else everybody would watch Let's Plays with the sound turned down. I'm assuming that nobody does that, because that sounds really weird.
I mean, there are cases where you could have a no commentary Let's Play for the purposes of, like, helping someone, like, on a puzzle or something, like a walkthrough.
Yeah.
A video walkthrough or something. But I don't think those take away from sales, because if you want a video walkthrough, presumably you already own the game and are trying to get through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the very idea that, that somebody exposed to a Let's Play will be like, well, now I've seen everything, I'm not going to buy the game, is asinine.
And I think it speaks to insecurity that publishers know they're making games that maybe aren't worth playing, that are only worth just watching the big budget cutscenes.
I have wondered, lo have I lamented these years gone by, the steady decline of the demo scene. I have wailed and gnashed my teeth late at night atop pillars in stormy weather, raising my fist to the sky, decrying my displeasure with the gods at how demos have disappeared seemingly from the face of this earth. And it kind of dawned on me a few years ago. I was like, oh, I know why. They're trying to disguise the fact that their games are kind of shitty.
Well, I remember reading, there was I think it was like an anonymous interview with some AAA developer or something. They were talking about how whether or not Let's Plays took away from profit, and they're like, we have spent the last console generation purposefully removing any sense of individuality from gameplay. Like, everyone who plays this AAA title is going to have the same exact experience because all of these set pieces are predetermined. All the cutscenes and QuickTime events are already laid out for you. So watching a Let's Play could be detracting from those sales because you get the same experience watching it from playing it. And I don't think the answer is to cut off Let's Plays. I think the answer is to make better games that can't just be watched like movies, because then you're kind of failing at game making.
Absolutely. I would absolutely agree with you there. In fact, I think that most of the problems that this industry has, problems with piracy, problems with, sales, problems with development costs spiraling out of control, you could just make better games. Not more expensive games or, better looking games or games that star Kiefer Sutherland, but just better.
That is kind of like the answer to every nagging question in an industry. What do we do about X? Probably you should just make better games.
Pretty much.
So, I mean, if that, I don't want to cut that conversation short too quickly, but I want to try and transition. If that's the industry side answer, what does this entire thing have to say on the journalism, in air quotes side? Because a lot of people are like, well, this is going to completely shut down video reviews on YouTube. So yeah, you have Blip and you have Ustream and Twitch and stuff, but those are much smaller audiences. Stuff like that. Do you think we're going to see a return to more text-based stuff? Because the industry, we had been trending towards a video ecosystem. Is it going to regress, or are we going to just find new ways of disseminating the stuff? Is there any impact you see there?
I'm afraid that my lack of faith in the attention span of people as time goes on says to me that the written word is probably not like the scrappy underdog that's kind of come up for a swift win in the 7th round here. I think we're still going to see a powerful trend towards video reviews and video content. But you know what? If YouTube's not going to deliver it, somebody else will step in and do it. Somebody else will. It'll take time to build up the fan base and everything like that, but it's just going to take a couple of big names, PewDiePie. If he jumps ship on YouTube, people all over the world are going to know about, Blip.
That's the $1 million question. Do you think there is any chance of someone supplanting YouTube as the primary video hosting site on the internet?
Absolutely. We've seen this before with the whole music sharing thing. The RIAA, to bring up, a subject we were just talking about, went after Napster with such vitriol. They had such a boner for Napster, as if, and when, of course, invariably, they won the court case, congratulations, music piracy is over.
Well, but Napster, fought and lost. It seems like Google is, basically turning on us here. Don't you think? It seems like they're siding with the companies against the users.
Absolutely, and that's what's going to make people jump ship. People were forced out of using Napster because the legality of it was basically hit them. This isn't a situation where it's like, oh no, YouTube has done terrible things to my revenue stream, but I guess they're the only game in town, so I suppose I have to keep using them. They're not. And anybody who does it for a living, anybody who actually does LPs and streams and crap like that, knows it. They know that YouTube's not the only game in town. And okay, yeah, fine, sure. You move to Twitch, you move to Blip, you move to Ustream. Yeah, your numbers are down. But guess what? Your videos are up.
That's true. And also, I think this connects nicely to the last aspect of this I want to touch on is the next generation of consoles just hit, and they have integrated Ustream and Twitch right out of the box. You push the share button on the PS4, and your shit is shared on those services. Does that play any part in this move, you think? Is this a conscious effort by the industry? Like, publishers got together and, like, we need to shift the stuff off YouTube and onto a service where we control it because we have standing arrangements with Sony and Microsoft? Or do you think it's just a coincidence that will kind of push this along to the transition?
I think it's a coincidence. Because I will be honest with you. I think that it was probably Microsoft and Sony's ideas specifically to have sharing in their consoles. That seems to me that's something that they would cook up. Because, I mean, you wouldn't go around to developers and be like, what kind of experience do you really want users of our system to have? I really want to see more people play my game on Blip.
That's true. This does feel more hardware side.
Yeah, it's something that they specifically would have designed their consoles around so that gamers would be more attracted to the console as opposed to, the publishers being like, I don't know where we would be if it wasn't for YouTube. Thanks, Internet. I don't think that there was a lot of consultation there that went on with the publishers, which is fine. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's Microsoft's system. It's Sony's system. They can do what they want. But if they see that gamers are really interested in streaming content to people over the internet, of course, it is incumbent upon them to support that in their consoles. But to see some publishers, and let's be clear, I only say like some publishers here, because most of the ones I've seen, most publishers have that I'm aware of, at least, have said, hey, we didn't want this. Let us know if something goes wrong. We'll help you out. Of course, that hasn't stopped their content from being claimed. Because this is part of the problem as well, is the methods in which YouTube allows a claim to process. Like, I mean, you can't tell me that a system that allows a company that sells, like you were talking about a musician, or musicians that had their content claimed. So a company that sells your music, they don't own it. I'm talking about CD Baby. I don't know if you've heard this one. But you can, as an independent artist, sell your music on CD Baby, and they take a cut of what goes out the door. CD Baby has claimed copyright on music that they sell. Not that they own, that they sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I did see some tweets on this.
And YouTube shuts it down automatically. That, in the first place, that is fucking ridiculous.
It's a double-edged sword, though, because, I mean, if these claims were legitimate, do we expect Google to go through by hand and check every single instance? Like, you have to automate that. I think the question isn't that whether or not it's automated, it's how fucking terrible are the fucking scripts that are tagging all this shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, this isn't, I don't think that this is something that you can automate. You can't just say, oh, well, because our fucking, I don't know, algorithm recognized this portion of this part of a song that looks like this other song. Like, I don't even fucking know how it works, I don't. But it obviously there's something wrong with it. Obviously.
Yeah. It's not a good situation for anyone. I mean, Google would prefer to have the income from YouTube videos that are up and being monetized. Content creators would prefer if their videos were up and being monetized, and publishers would prefer if they could get a cut of either of those revenue streams. So I don't think anyone wants it the way it is, but it's the way it is, and either people are going to leave or they're going to grin and bear it, and we're going to be in like a weird, shitty ecosystem of people asking for permission to review stuff. I don't know. As a consumer and I guess a journalist-ish person, do you have any like thoughts about how you're going to handle this? Is this just kind of the thing where you're just kind of watching? Because I'm thinking if you see a company that's being a dick about this stuff, and then you see one that's not, I would if it comes down to it, I'm probably going to buy the people's game. I'm going to buy a game from the people who aren't being dicks about it before the other guys.
Absolutely. No, that stands completely and entirely with everything that I've said about being a responsible consumer. But I kind of got to be honest with you. I have to be honest with you a little bit, because a lot of this content stuff that YouTube is doing is not about Let's Plays. It's not about it. That's not the reason why it's on there. I mean, let's totally be honest here. It's not a revamp of their intellectual content because, like I said, guys are playing Happy Wheels, Minecraft, or Amnesia: The Dark Descent. The big three, right? The problem is that people are... It's irresponsible consumption that's done this. People are misusing YouTube. They are. For whatever reason. They're putting television shows up there, they're putting full movies up there, they're putting full albums up there. And, while it's really easy to become wrapped up in this whole concept that, YouTube should be free, information, blah, blah, blah. It's real easy to lose sight of the fact that these are people's livelihoods. I'm just saying, the other side of the sword here, right?
Yeah, this is why we can't have nice things.
Uh-huh. Yeah, precisely. And it's kind of like the more people are basically willing to misuse the exchange of information to, and I mean something as high profile as YouTube as well,
Mm-hmm.
where it's not like some little backwater, I don't know, European file exchange site or something like that, where you can find every episode of the 1970s television series, the Ukrainian version of Battlestar Galactica. There we go.
Does that exist?
I don't know, but now I want to see it. So, in some way we kind of have to accept, maybe we did it to ourselves. Which is,
and that's why it really hurts.
It's shitty, it's shitty that every time, something revolutionary kind of like YouTube pops up. I'm not saying that this is like the death knell of YouTube. Who knows? Google may pull it yet from the fire, take it down the stairs and dress it in a blanket. And then people be like, oh my God, Google, my dog. He plays videos on the internet. And Google's like, don't worry, I'm Google. Buy Google Glass, and then flies off somewhere. I don't know, but it's kind of aggravating. It aggravates me to see that basically it's come to the point in time where apparently the problem is so bad that YouTube has decided to do something about it, and it's fucking over people who have legitimate content on YouTube. I mean, the whole always online DRM, the whole geez, well, you need to connect to the internet all the time to have SimCity on. Oh, Diablo 3. I'm like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, that actually reminds me. I saw people were asking on Twitter, why aren't people mad that Titanfall is always online? And I'm like, because it's a multiplayer only game. It needs to always be online. It's like SimCity and Diablo didn't. That's why people are upset.
Yeah.
When things make sense, they're okay. I don't understand how this isn't an obvious distinction, but logic is a perfectly good excuse for action. Is that far out? Am I? No,
that's I'm with you there. I had a friend of mine at work try to basically, I was talking about the whole market thing and voting with your dollar and getting things there, and he was surprised that I had spent so much money on games on Steam. And I was like, why? He's like, well, Steam is DRM. And I was like, well, in the first place, for most games on Steam, the DRM is kind of incidental. It's an online store place that you have to be connected to buy and download games.
Yeah, no, I've heard that argument too. I have friends who refuse to use Steam because it's quote unquote DRM.
Yeah,
and it's like you're kind of just being an obstinate dick because Steam is super convenient and it's a completely reasonable expectation as far as I'm concerned that you need to be logged in and signed up or whatever.
But you don't even need to be logged in if you've downloaded and installed the game. There's offline modes.
Yeah, that's true.
If you can't connect, it's like, hey, I can't connect to the Steam servers. Do you want to play any of the games you currently have installed? That having been said, there are games that require you to be online that have like Steamworks and things like that, and I'm not talking about those. I'm just talking about the platform of Steam. I'm like, yeah, the DRM is incidental because it's like, yes, you have to be online to buy and download and install games. But that's like saying, oh, I would email, but it's DRM because I have to be connected to the internet to do it. I would go driving in my car, but it's DRM because I need gasoline in order for it to start and make it go. So, no.
Oh, my.
These are implicit agreements that you make with the systems that you interact with on the internet. Like, I would go on the internet, but the fact that you always have to be online to access the internet is just too restrictive for me.
Oh, Johnny.
And
yeah. I mean, I'm interested in hearing what other people have to say about this, because I know some people who, when they hear about problems befalling Let's Players, they just say, get a real job, which, I think we've touched on that before, but...
Yeah. I've had real jobs. I've got a real job right now. You know what? Shut up. Real jobs suck. I hate real jobs. Real jobs make miserable people. I've had to, because of this whole Christmas party thing, I've had to meet, 16 people in this past week. Every one of them that I've met's like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I work at bleh. They're like, do you like it? I'm like, no, it's horrible.
It's actually kind of unsettling how we've kind of culturally normalized the grinding, drone lifestyle. It's like, gosh, why don't you just conform and be miserable, you jerk?
It's pretty terrible. I mean, God.
We've programmed people to, police each other in such a way as that no one steps outside of their misery box. If you step back, it's, actually kind of disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
I'm uncomfortable with it.
I mean, if somebody said to me, hey, how would you like to make a living just broadcasting on YouTube all day, playing video games? I'd be like, could I take a break in Mystery Science Theater 3000, a TV show? I would do that for a living. That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you got the chance, why not?
Yeah.
Although you would have to deal with YouTube commenters, which are basically the worst.
Austin, I wouldn't deal with any YouTube commenters.
Never read the comments?
Never read the comments. Rule number 1 of the internet, never read the comments. Rule number 2, don't Google your dong.
I love most of BT's commenters, but this feels like a great time to bring up. Did you see the comment on last week's BT podcast?
Oh, man. And I'm really sorry, Average Anarchist, but we gotta bring this up. We've got to bring this up. Because, wow, man. Wow. That was kind of impressive. And I mean, in all fairness, I don't want to be like, everybody go to the comment section on BT and read this comment right now, because he did apologize. He did apologize for it, but
no, all the credit in the world for recognizing the faux pas and being big about it. It's awesome.
Yeah,
but it's still hilarious,
dude. Fantastic. Oh, jeez. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Suffice to say that one of our readers, who may or may not have been under the influence, I don't know. It seems as though it might be likely. Took particular exception to some statements that Mr. Leon Thomas made about Minecraft in the past. And I mean, we touched on it last week, which is what brought it up. But 2.5
years ago, but whatever.
Yeah, no, man, it's a good read. You should go check it out. If you like rusty knives up your butt, this is the internet comment for you.
Well, yeah, but like I said, it's pretty cool that they recognized it and apologized, and also the rest of our commenters are awesome, and I love them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. For somebody to come around on BT and just be like, brrr! But that was the closest we got last week, and he apologized. So good on you, man.
Okay. There's one other thing, Johnny, we might
Yep.
touch on briefly. Not really news, more of a cultural thing. Did you hear about the Mighty Number 9 community manager debacle?
Yes. Yes, I did. This whole week, as far as I'm concerned, was a wonderful debacle, a debacle fest, if you will. Debacle 2. This time it's personal. When it comes to the way that God bless you, gamers treat women.
Oh yeah, there was also the depression quest. Fuck me, man.
Because how dare a woman feel sad?
Christ.
How?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Jesus.
How dare she? She's a woman. She's got no right for sadness. I am the only one who feels the sad.
That's almost not even worth talking about. That, like, clearly people who are saying shit about that are fucking vile monsters and don't deserve our attention.
Yeah.
But this Mighty Number 9 thing, there's a kernel that I want to discuss with you here. If you're not familiar, the Kickstarted game Mighty Number 9, which is the spiritual successor to Mega Man by Keiji Inafune, is going through development right now. And they posted an update on their Kickstarter page announcing that they had hired a new community manager who happened to be a woman who happened to reveal that she was not a particular fan of Mega Man. Obviously, none of that justifies the abuse she then received. You should never abuse anyone physically or verbally. That just goes without saying. The thing I kind of do want to discuss here, does it bother you? Do you ever care, I guess I should say, when it turns out someone making a thing is not a fan of the thing? Does that bother you if you're like, oh, The Witcher 3 is being developed by someone who just really doesn't like The Witcher? Like, would you be like, that person should be fired? Like,
well, yeah, if they're actually involved in the making of it.
We'll get there, Johnny. We'll get there.
I mean, particularly when you're talking about, something as deeply entrenched in video game culture as Mega Man, right? Like, I've talked in the past about how it even bothers me when people write reviews, and it's like, I've decided to review this first-person shooter game. First of all, I hate first-person shooters games, so this review is going to be fair. But the same thing when you're making a game, it does seem a little weird for it to be like, yeah, you know what? I don't really like Mega Man, but I'm making a Mega Man game. But
I mean, I was trying to put myself in that position. I was like, if I found out that, Persona 5 was being developed by people who hated Persona, I'd be like, that makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, you remember how uncomfortable I was when Gearbox bought Homeworld, right?
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I don't believe you, Randy Pitchford. I don't believe that you see the value. I don't believe that you love these games. And then when he was like, here's what we're doing with these games, I was like, I believe you, Randy Pitchford.
So, I mean, I can understand the initial, hesitancy to accept this. Obviously,
it's certainly worth concern.
Yeah, but it immediately crossed the line because they were just, evil misogynists about it. Here's the thing with the specific situation is that she's a community manager. She's not going to be making the game.
Oh.
And even if she was, I doubt her input would radically alter the DNA of Mega Man inherent to the project.
Somehow I think that if she, bothered to, storm the offices and be like, right, Mr. Inafune, these are things I think you should do with your game, he'd be like, no.
If I wish I knew more Japanese, because I would have answered that Japanese. Yeah.
I don't speak English, except for that sentence and this one.
Exactly. Yeah, it's weird, this whole thing. But I like you said, I think I can understand the concern. But
it's okay to be reasonable, people.
Yeah, being like...
Don't be scared of being reasonable.
But even then, yeah, Jesus Christ. I read 10 comments and I immediately just closed my browser and did something else.
Oh, man, it was enough to make me crawl under my blanket. And
yeah.
Just check to see if my shadow showed.
I know a lot of people are tired about hearing about the gender thing right now. The last year or so has been really heavy on all the the discourse on sexism, the Anita Sarkeesians and whatnot. A lot of people are tired of it, but when shit like this happens, it's hard to argue that we are not making much progress.
Yeah, I mean, when people can take it upon themselves to just anonymously be assholes, that's when you know there's a problem. I don't care if people are too gutless to be, like, racist or sexist or homophobic in person, because I'm like, oh, hey, look, there's a veneer of civility that has uneasily settled over the population of people. But when it's like somebody doesn't have to show their face and they don't have to identify themselves, and they're like, bruh, women are terrible, they eat babies after they give birth to them and are only good for having sex with men. I'm just kind of like, where did that come from? It doesn't really. There's a disconnect there, and people. I think we should now at least be able to realize that being decent to someone isn't just like letting them live their lives, but is actually letting them live their lives without harassment.
I've always said this. It's too much work to be bigoted or, like, harassing. Like, I can't bother to, like, send mean comments and, like, write angry emails. Like, who has that much time and energy to be hateful?
I don't know, man. I have a lot of trouble being, like, enthusiastic about things. Like someone's like, hey, Johnny, are you excited for The Witcher 3? I'm like, yeah! Oh, that took a lot out of me.
I know, but can you imagine, like, you gotta pay, like, I'm sure there's some kind of entrance fee to, like, get into the KKK, right? And then you gotta launder all those fucking hoods. Like, that's that's a commitment.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to meetings.
Yeah, like, I got shit.
You get in the car on a Thursday night, and it's like...
Football's on, man.
It's your week to bring the baked goods, and you're like, maybe I'll just swing by, like, the grocery store and grab something out of their bakery section. And then you get there, and all the bagels are, like, a few hours old, and they're gross. Like, not that I've, been to a KKK meeting or anything like that.
Oh, my gosh. Now I have this image of this really sad KKK guy, like, in full regalia, like the dragon, just like, walking around Kmart, shopping for bagels.
With, like, some frosted cupcakes that have obviously, he picked up from the bargain bin because they're about to go off because they were baked yesterday, but he's like, they won't know.
It's actually, now that I'm thinking about this, it's kind of weird to think. Like, I know it's obvious in hindsight, but it's like terrible, racist, sexist monsters are just kind of normal people, like, most of the time, aren't they? Like, the people who leave these just enraged internet comments, like, they go home and they pet their cats. And...
Well, I mean, like, what's the old adage is that nobody's the villain of their own story.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's doing it because they're in defense of something. No, this person has to love Mega Man if they're going to be a community manager because everybody must love Mega Man. It's so good, and if you don't love Mega Man, obviously you misunderstand the very fabric of the universe.
It was secretly all Leon with like 100 sock puppet accounts, just going apeshit on the Mighty Number 9 forums.
Leon likes women. I know Leon likes women.
But I think he likes Mega Man more.
Oh, well, there's that question.
Oh, that's my favorite thing. People were like, it's Mega Man, not Mega Woman. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I can't even with that right now.
Yeah, it's,
literally killing my brain cells.
If I got really angry about something, I wouldn't even know where to go on the internet for it. I'd be like, oh my God, I need to complain about something right now.
Is there a form I have to fill out?
Do I need a membership card? Do I have to, mail something out?
Oh my God. I was actually talking about this the other day because there's I don't know if there's something going on in Saudi Arabia with women being allowed to drive, and then there's the constant barrage of video game sexism. Are all these people just have gone through terrible divorces or something? The only thing I can think of is that everyone who is just a hateful sexist on the internet just has a really tiny penis. That's all I can think of. That's the only explanation that makes sense to me.
What gets me the most is that it's like everybody, and like this is the best, most easily relatable way that I can say it, right? Is that everybody has fucking problems. We've all got problems, and none of them are illegitimate. Like, honestly, one of the things that bothers me the most about, like, the whole first world problems, that you're kind of like, wryly winking at yourself going, oh, I'm sensitive to the plight of poor people because my phone ran out of battery and I'm making fun of myself. It's like, no, like, maybe your phone running out of power is a serious problem. Like, maybe it's detrimental to your job. Maybe it's detrimental to whether or not you can, like, pick up your kids at the right time. Maybe it's like, people have real problems. We all have real problems. And just because one person's problem is slightly more mortal than yours, that doesn't mean that your problems are illegitimate. We all have to fucking deal with those things. So I feel that when people are confronted with a situation in which they are forced to recognize that other people, too, have problems, that they feel that somehow that their problems are being illegitimized, where it's like, yeah, there aren't enough women in video games. What they then hear is, oh, your problems aren't real because, you can play a guy in a video game anytime you want. And I honestly feel that some people mistake the campaign for equality as being a campaign to diminish the importance of, their status as, like, white, male, heterosexual, or what have you. When that's not the case at all. Like, nobody is trying to be reductive or diminishing or anything of the sort.
Doesn't that strike you as a really paranoid attitude, though? It's like, women are like, we don't like being treated like this. And then you as a man are like, what about me? What about my problems? Like, it's not about you. Shut the fuck up. I don't know.
But that's the thing, is that the reaction that I usually see, and I see this reaction all the time, is that this desire to try and turn the argument around as though, so like when women talk about objectification of women or like the male gaze or something like that, I see guys go, well, men are objectified in video games all the time. We're not all like 6'4" hulking beefcakes with like super punch skills and muscles who can jump and things. And it's like
muscles who can jump.
Yeah, and it's okay. It's true. It's true. All right. Yes. Mm-hmm. There is a certain degree of objectification of men in video games as well. But you know what? There's not a cultural, historical problem of that.
I agree with you, but even if there was, that's just not what we're talking about right now. Like,
exactly. I mean,
are people incapable of empathy? Like, if someone says, like, I'm tired of being objectified with the male gaze, like, my response would be like, oh, okay, like, I'm taking this information on. I'm going to, like, rethink about how I, like, act as a person, about how I'm, like, making people feel uncomfortable.
What can we do about that?
Yeah, like, why does it then have to be like, well, I don't do that, so it's not a problem? Like, for a second, pretend it's not about you.
But you can see how people would mistake that impulse for fairness, right?
I guess.
We're talking about women. Well, let's talk about men. Like, yeah, I do agree with you that the discussion of, like, women's role in media and women's rights and things like that is not a discussion about men. The only place men enter into that discussion is in how we affect women's rights, women's role in media, the way women are portrayed.
That can be a separate discussion. That's not off the table. It's just not right now on the floor. That's all. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. No, I absolutely, utterly agree with you on that subject. But that is, like, that's the knee-jerk reaction that I see. The knee-jerk reaction that I see. I mean, there's a good deal of mouth breathing that goes on now, where it's like suddenly the word feminist has become a dirty word. And that's the thing as well, is that the reason why it's become a dirty word, weirdly, is because people see it as a word that means that women are putting their interests above men, which is not what it means.
Which is funny because my primary criticism of feminism is that it doesn't address the problems of women of color, not men, which is why there is a thing called womanism. Toni Morrison, look it up. Good stuff. But we're not having the conversations we should be having, is what I feel like.
Yeah. I'm just trying to say that I think that this reaction that you're talking about is one definitely based out of fear. It's one based out of like paranoia and a feeling of illegitimacy, because nobody likes to be reduced. Nobody likes to be told that, you know, your problems aren't real, get over it. And unfortunately, we are dealing with like a portion of society that, and I hate to contribute to the stereotype, but may have more social problems, that may have more problems with the way that men are portrayed in media than something else. You know, like the way that we treat male gamers, yeah, that might be a conversation that we should have. But that knee-jerk reaction, that fear that something's being taken away or that they're being illegitimized, I honestly feel like that's the kernel. That's the root of it. That people are engineered to be paranoid, you know. There's a shake in the bush, and immediately you worry that it's the women who've come to take your rights away.
Oh, jeez. They're sneaky, those feminists.
You know it. Going on TV, going on the internet, talking about fair treatment.
Having feelings.
Yeah.
Thoughts.
Those feelings. Those feelings aren't real.
I guess we can stop being soapboxing dicks now. Do you want to talk about what we played this week?
I think so. I'll rock, paper, scissors you for first.
I have a better idea.
1, 2, 3. What did you throw? You're not going to tell me?
Johnny.
What?
Did you play more Pokemon? That's all I care about right now.
Actually, I didn't get a chance to.
Oh, fuck.
I'm sorry. Like, it's usually, like, last week Pokemon was my Saturday. That was, like, my Saturday. But I had a busy goddamn Saturday.
I just want to hear what happened to Gary the War Turtle or whatever your name is.
Nothing. No, Steven's the War Turtle.
Okay.
Steven the War Turtle. I'm not sure I have a Gary yet. I'll name my next Pokemon Gary in honor of you, Austin.
I appreciate that. You can go first if you want.
Okay, sure. I didn't actually, because of, you know, Christmassy blah-de-blah-de-blah, I didn't really actually get a chance to play that much this week, to tell you the truth. I finally got around to playing the Revenge of Harley Quinn for Arkham City, because I got that when I got upgraded to the Game of the Year edition, and I was like, that's a thing. It was kind of lackluster. I was like, oh, okay.
I played it. It was okay. It's whatever.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved being Robin and beating people with a stick. That was fun. But it didn't, you know, it wasn't like it put a little bit more shine on an already polished product. It was a thing. I played it.
Yeah. It was just a little bit more, and you were Robin.
Yep. I also got to play a little bit more Metro Last Light. Which I'm enjoying more now that, like, they're leaving me alone.
Who, like, people try and tell you about, like, the story and stuff?
No. I just mean, like, the people that you inevitably kind of, like, team up with in the game. I've spent the last, like, little part of the game just on my own. And I'm like, this is better. Like, I'm in a strange, hostile environment by myself. I can kind of, like, explore and sneak and do things my way, however I want, you know.
Yeah, so you're freed from the kind of, like, exposition part of it. Now it's just kind of, like, more organic.
Yeah, and I mean, that was one of the things that I loved about Metro 2033, was that it was like you were free to screw things up in whatever way you wanted to.
Yep.
And it's the same thing now, that it's like, I mean, you know, the gameplay's a little bit more leading, where I'm sort of like, oh, okay, I get what I'm supposed to do here. Okay, I get what I'm supposed to do here, but I'm still free to screw it up if I want, you know? So it left to its own devices that way. I'm having more fun with it. I'm seeing that charm of that game that I really loved in Metro 2033 back. But I did get to play 2 betas this week. The first one I played I guess it's an alpha, for Double Fine's Space Base DF9.
Yeah, that's one of the Amnesia Fortnite projects.
It is. It's one of the Amnesia Fortnite projects. And there's not really much to say about it right now because it's pretty simplistic. It's basically I played like almost 2 hours of it or so, and it's just sort of like, you know, a tool set and a behavior set and like a really loose tutorial, and then just being like, yay. But I like what they're doing. You know, it's kind of like it's this autonomous kind of Dwarf Fortress styled space building thing. I had to restart a space station like twice, I think, because I didn't fucking understand what the hell I was doing. It didn't really explain very well what it was doing. It was like, oh, you need an airlock. And I was like, okay, I'll build a room. Now what? Okay, I gotta zone it. All right, it's zoned as an airlock. Go in. I actually need an airlock door. Okay, I'll put one there. And I guess now I need another room. Okay. You know, it had like a sort of a typically alpha kind of steep learning curve, but I'm optimistic about it. I'm probably going to leave it alone. I don't think I'm going to go back to it until it reaches a slightly more finished game state. Because I'm actually legitimately worried right now about this thing that's going on with PC games where they're getting released in an unfinished fashion.
The early access trend?
The early access trend is bothering me, and I'll tell you why. Because many, many years ago, when you got access to a beta, it was a big deal. And the reason why it was a big deal is because you were playing the game before anybody else was. It could be unfinished, like, you know, fucking whatever. Like, you could just be like, oh, God, wow, this isn't even playable. But if you were like, hey, guess who's in the EverQuest beta? People would be like, oh, fuck, what's it like? Oh, dude, can I come over? Oh, my God, I have to see it. Oh. You know, like, it was new, and it was big, and it was like, nobody got to do that. And it's the same thing as, like, you know, when you got to go to, like, E3 and, like, play a game 3 months before it came out. It's this weird kind of, like, status symbol, this badge of honor, where you're like, yeah, I'm a nerd. I got to play this game months before anybody else did. And everybody's like, oh, my God, how was it? And you're like, actually, it was awesome. And
actually, E3 isn't probably the best environment to play a game to get a good sense of how it plays. You should probably just wait until it comes out.
Yeah, more or less, you know. And I've always kind of felt this way about betas and early access to games and things like that, is that it's like, okay, yeah, you know, you can kind of make people jealous, but it's not really for the best, because you aren't playing the game in a final state. It's not done. It's obviously not done. But now that you can just buy your way into a beta, that's like, what's the point? You know, you're basically buying the game, but you're buying it unfinished.
I think it depends on the kind of game. There's some that, like, beta testing makes a lot of sense. You got things to work out, but if it's like, it's just not finished yet.
Yeah,
like,
but let's be honest here. How many people do you think buy beta test versions of, like, early access games because they're like, man, I can't wait to report all the bugs in this thing?
Oh, yeah, exactly. There's a complete and total juxtaposition of intention there between the people selling and buying the beta access. But I'm just saying there are instances in which early access makes sense. But the fact that it seems like every game is going to have it, like, in a certain sphere in the PC ecosystem,
yeah.
It's not entirely logical. I can understand why it's bothering you.
Like, it's there's nothing special about it anymore. It doesn't exist as a special thing. Like, if you have access to the space-based DF9 beta, congratulations, you forked over your fucking, like, $5 just like everybody else did. You can't brag to anybody about that. And if anybody's like, well, what's it like? You can be like, oh, it's good, but you know, I guess it's not done yet. You can't review it. You can't tell people, oh, it's gonna be amazing because, like, there's a bunch of people who have wrote like public reviews of like Space Base DF9. It's at like Alpha 2A. It's like, oh yeah, dude, I'm really gonna pay attention to your review here because it's obviously a finished product. That having been said, I also played the Wasteland 2 beta.
How was it? That's isn't that going to come with the original when it finally releases?
Oh, they already released the original. You can buy Wasteland on Steam and Good Old Games now.
Nice.
Yeah.
I haven't played either of those.
Or if you get early access to Wasteland 2, you do get a copy of the original Wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the interesting thing. Wasteland 2 early access is retailing for $60.
Yeah, I saw that. Strange.
Now, here's the thing. I don't know if this is whether or not they like. I just want to quickly check Kickstarter here because this is something that I don't remember. I think it was the Supreme Commander runoff that basically charged early access at the same price that they charged beta access. So, like, for example, if you kickstarted, if you kickstarted Wasteland 2, you got access to the beta at $55. All right? So it may be that they've priced early access at a $60 price point to be like, oh, you know, we don't want to lessen the people who bought into the Kickstarter to get the beta, right? So we better price it at least the amount that it costs them to get into it on Kickstarter, if not more. So I don't know if that's what they've decided to do, right? But that having been said, it is kind of galling to ask people for $60 for a game that's not done yet. And that I'm like, I don't like that.
I mean, the Kickstarter situation is always going to create conflicts between, you know, the audience who supported you and the ones you're trying to sell to afterward.
Yes.
And that's, I mean, yeah, the pricing issue just seems like an unfortunate set of circumstances that look like they're trying to take advantage instead of trying to preserve the relationship they have with their existing community.
Now, if this could all be easier explained, you know, that would kind of make sense to me. If they could just, if they could talk a little bit about why they've decided to price what they do. Because, I mean, in this beta that you're given access to, and they flat out tell you, 30% of the location. So it's a feature complete. They say it's got, like, you know, AI, gear, inventory, creatures, line of sight, exploration, world map, fast travel, dialogue, blah, 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 combat, you know, quests, characters, NPCs, etc., but only 30% of the locations. And again, so I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, you know, it's a beta test, right? It's a beta test. That's fine. We shouldn't necessarily have the whole thing for a beta test. But yeah, that decision, talking about that decision, why you decided to price it at $60, why you decided to make it early access, because I've only played it for I played it for like an hour and a half or so, right? And I'm pleased as punch. Like, I really am. I don't want to be like, you know, people mistaking me talking about, like, early access being like, I feel kind of iffy about this because I didn't like the game. I loved the game.
That's good.
It's everything that I wanted it to be so far. And I mean, I'm expecting way more from the plot, but I'm not even sure I want to get that deep into it because the plot.
Yeah.
The plot. But Just, yeah, like the way the characters move outside of combat, the way the skill system work. You'll be happy to know, Austin, that you're a knife-wielding maniac in my party of 4.
Sweet.
Yeah. You punched a frog.
That'll teach it.
You punched a really large frog. I was like, you madman! Except I wasn't really. I was like, hey, Austin, go punch that frog. Oh my god, he's doing it.
Oh, me.
But it's great. Like, it's the game I want.
Are you feeling good about this new wave of kind of old school RPGs? Was it Pillars of Eternity and the Tides of Numenera?
Absolutely, I am. Absolutely. I mean, because it seems to me that it's an outlet for titans of writing in the industry. Like, these guys have written some of the most complicated plots I've ever had the pleasure of playing in my life. Ranging from, like, the guys who wrote Planescape Torment to more recently Mask of the Betrayer for Neverwinter Nights 2, which, if you haven't played, fie upon you, sir. Not you specifically, Austin, but upon everybody, because that was one of the best role-playing story experiences of, like, the most recent years. So it's kind of like giving them an outlet. It's giving me an outlet for, like, great stories and familiar but updated systems, and just, like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, Like, I've even last week we talked about this whole, like, middle of the road, like, middle range budget games. Yeah, that's what I want. And I know that it's scary to be like, $3 million is middle range budget. Yeah, it is. I just hope that that it actually leads to companies being self-sufficient, as opposed to having to dip back into Kickstarter every single time they want to make a game, because that will dry up pretty quickly, I think.
That is the concern going forward, if Kickstarter is going to be a permanent part of all these business models, or if it's going to be actually kickstarting businesses.
Well, new guys basically need to find the proper way to attack. The biggest problem with every new Kickstarter I've ever seen is that they come to the table with nothing except a bunch of wide-eyed dreams and promises. And if you don't have a name to back yourself on, like if you're not, hey, I'm Tim Schafer, I've made these games, then you've got to prove to your potential customers. Like, you were pitching investors. Mm-hmm. Who in their right mind, like, have you ever watched, like, Dragon's Den or anything like that, Austin?
No, but that from what you're about to say, I'm going to assume it's not about dragons eating people.
Unfortunately not. No, it's a show about people. It's a show about people pitching inventions to, like, investors, or programs to investors, and the guys who do well always show up with, like, a working prototype, and like they've got, like, a market cornered out. They're like, yeah, we want to make this thing for these people for this reason. Here's our prototype. This is how it works. We want to charge this much money. And that's when they're like, oh, great. The guys who fail terribly show up with, like, sketch drawings, and they're like, I want to make this thing. It's gonna cost me $1 million.
Yeah. I mean, that should go without saying, that if you have experience or have something to show, you're on higher, footing than the people who just show up with ideas. I mean, everyone has ideas.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, why do you think that FTL got kickstarted? It was because they had a proof of concept.
Yeah. Most of the really successful Kickstarters had, at least a trailer of, like, footage or something.
Like, not even trailer, like little demos or things like that. Like, design yourself a prototype level and just be like, this is the game I want to make. And then people can play it and be like, fuck yeah.
Or they just walked in there and were like, I'm Keiji Inafune, give me money.
Yeah.
That also works.
That does also work, but unfortunately not everybody can be Keiji Inafune or fucking Chris Roberts or Tim Schafer or, Brian Fargo or any of that. It just, like, it doesn't work. So, I mean, like, if you were kind of dithering on the fence about Wasteland 2, if you were like, I don't know, I really like the original Fallout and Fallout 2 and even the original Wasteland, which is weird because I'm probably in my 30s, but I have a voice like this, then Fallout 2 or not Fallout 2, sorry, Wasteland 2, Freudian slip, is likely going to please you. I mean, everything that I've seen from it so far is pretty tight. Like, I'm excited. I'm so excited for it. I think I might have to stop playing the beta. I might play it for like another hour or something, hour and a half, cap it off at 3 hours, and just see where I get. Because I've got some stuff that's going to be in this game. I'm going to be in this game. There's going to be an artifact that I designed in this game.
So if it's a character, you need to pit your character from Shadowrun Returns against this guy and have them fight to the death.
I think I am actually going to be in this game here. Yeah, I am going to be in this game.
Sweet. There needs to be crossover DLC. Johnny DLC. Versus Johnny.
I think I might be in some other games as well. Actually, I can't remember if I'm in Planescape Tides of Numenera.
You whore.
Or Pillars of Eternity. I might be in Pillars of Eternity too.
As pillar number 3.
Yeah, that's it.
You are one of the titular pillars.
But I'm really enjoying it. I mean, I can't say that like, oh hey, fantastic. The plot's great, but I'm liking it so far, man. It's good times. Good times. How's your face, Austin?
How's my face? Cold.
Okay.
It's cold here in Florida, by which I mean, like, probably molten hot in most other places, but comparatively it's cold for me.
How's your game face?
I played video games this week. I guess I should start with Ni no Kuni, which I finished. If you listened last week, I talked about how I liked it. I thought it was gorgeous.
I did listen last week.
Both the visuals, the music. I had some problems with the simplicity of the plot and characters. Everyone's pretty flat in one note, and I think it missed a couple of the emotional story beats.
Yep.
But what I guess everyone was waiting for me to talk about, which the thing is controversial about this game, is the ending, quote unquote.
Yes.
But this requires some backstory, because if you listened last week, I talked about how Level 5 started the game. It was a DS game. They said, DS has the biggest install base. We're making this for the system. But we have Studio Ghibli on board, and they make gorgeous, beautiful visuals. We should also make a PS3 version, because that would make the most of having them on board. So once again, all of this is from interviews in the book that came with it that I'm kind of citing here. So the DS version came out first. That game is called Ni no Kuni, the Jet Black Mage, and that's the one where it's on DS. You have to draw like the little runes on the bottom screen to cast spells. Right. And then afterwards, the Ni no Kuni, the White Witch, came out for the PS3, which is obviously no touch functionality. The book is in the game. We only got the White Witch, and there is a difference story-wise between the games. Without going into spoilers, both versions are about Oliver's quest to stop the wizard Shadar, the Jet Black Mage of the DS game's title. 100% of that game, the DS one, but like 90% of the White Witch is about that. And then you fight the White Witch. After, like, the White Witch section is really just a thing they added on to the DS game. It's almost like a DLC chapter. It's like 2 hours of like additional content after the point where the game normally would end. And since the credits don't roll between them, it feels more like the story comes to a natural conclusion and then it stumbles on for another couple hours. And I can see why that's the quote-unquote ending that everyone doesn't like. Seems more like DLC that isn't properly transitioned into. Like, after the first story arc, if the credits rolled and it was like, and now for the White Witch section, I don't think people would have as much problem with it, but since it's almost seamless, it seems inelegant, the way they transition into the new content.
Right.
And from what I understand, Japan was particularly unhappy with this because they were sold the White Witch version as a substantial addition. Like, they're like, oh, you need both versions because they're so different and they add to the story in so many different ways. But really, it's just the DS version plus a couple boss fights and a dungeon.
Right.
And they felt burned by that. And us only getting the one version you don't get the same problems, but you get different ones, and that unless you did some research, you wouldn't know that the ending you get is actually like post-credits stuff. It's a strange developmental situation that leads to a less than satisfying conclusion.
Right.
On its own, I think the Shadar arc it works in its simplicity. I like it.
Last week, sorry, you mentioned that you felt like the simplicity of the game was kind of a strong component of it. Like it was very clearly almost like a children's story, like a fairy tale.
Yeah, I think it's intentional, and I think it works. Besides the fact that I just wish the characters were a little bit more interesting, like the protagonists, your party only have like one or two, if that, defining traits, where the antagonist, Shadar, is actually kind of interesting. But the White Witch part falls flat for me. It's
because she's white? Reverse racist?
Yep, totally.
By the way,
I'm trying.
Joke.
I know. It's not bad. It's just there's no real time given into it. It's just like, okay, you beat the game. Nope, just kidding. Fight 3 bosses and go through this dungeon. It's just abrupt. I think it would have been better if they had spread it over an entire sequel. If it was like the first game is this with the Black Mage and the second game is the White Witch. Just jamming the White Witch arc into the last hour of the rest of Ni no Kuni makes it feel really rushed and unsatisfying, and her character's backstory is similar enough to Shadar's that it's not compelling in any way. It's like...
So do you feel like this might be a case of the offering being strong enough to have potential, but you just feel like they squandered it?
I feel almost like... It's almost like they weren't sure if it was going to sell enough to make a sequel, but they had ideas for a sequel, so they just put them on the end.
Right.
Because like I said, from the Japanese perspective, they're like, look, we made this DS game because the DS has a huge install base, but we want to take advantage of the beautiful artwork, so we'll make a PS3 version as well. But we need additional content so people will buy it twice.
Right.
So let's put this on the end of it and call it a different game. I can see why they did that, but I don't think it serves that material well. With all that said, I put like 50 hours into this game, and there's still like plenty of shit to do. Like it's full of content, full of like imagination and all kinds of cool stuff. It's like simple enough for kids to play, but like it just feels like it's made to be like enjoyed by like a whole family together. It's good stuff, but it's not perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not a timeless classic like Chrono Trigger or anything. And that's a shame, because obviously when you're like, oh, level 5 in Studio Ghibli, how could this go wrong? And I don't think it went wrong. I just think it went... Ghibli. Giblets.
Giblets.
Your face.
Giblets, you.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about in the game, because there were some other criticisms people had of it. They didn't like... I might just look this up on BT, because there's some comments people were leaving that they had problems with it, and I just wanted to address them now that I've finished it. All right, so I'm looking at the comments here on like Taylor's 25 and 25, and here the comments are like, I hated Ni no Kuni from the title, half Japanese, half English, to the final end boss, and it's like, well, the title, the reason it's called Ni no Kuni in untranslated is because Ni no Kuni in Japanese literally means another world, and there already is a game in English called Another World, and
or Out of This World,
depending on their region. Yes, that was what's that man's name? It's gonna bother me. Made by a French guy.
Yeah, French guy McSweeney. I think that was his name.
I'm looking it up now. I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. It was the guy who did From Dust. Damn it.
Eric Chahi.
Yeah, Eric Chahi. That's right.
Yes. Anyway, he made a game called Another World in some regions, and so they couldn't call Ni no
For the
Kuni.
Super Nintendo.
So they couldn't call it Another World. So that's why Ni no Kuni is untranslated, while Wrath of the White Witch is translated, because there isn't a game called Wrath of the White Witch yet. So
there
that's
is
why.
Now.
Yes, that's why that is. This person also had problems with the story, which is, like I said, pretty simplistic. I agree with that, although it's not a huge negative in my book. It's just kind of a missed opportunity. I didn't like that humans shared HP with the familiars, because that cuts out every familiar with low HP. That's an interesting comment about the balance of the game. I actually really enjoyed the balance of the game, because, it's, like I said, it's almost like Pokemon. There's like 250 little animals that you fight with.
I know what you're talking about now.
Yes. And a number of them, the thing is, a lot of them are really useful. Like, the game is balanced in such a way as there's clearly a couple that are above the cut, like the end game kind of ones you're going to use for like the bonus bosses and stuff. But you can get through it with pretty much anyone you want, according to your playstyle. Like I said, you can't use ones with with low HP, but it's like those ones usually have upsides. Like they have they learn really strong magic, or they have really high attack stat,
or really strong language.
Johnny.
I'm just saying that if I was Magic and I had a familiar, I'd be looking for one that had a salty mouth.
I don't think the balance was that far off. I think there's a sense that you can smash through most of the random encounters with just physical familiars, but that's true. That's true of most RPGs. Like if you're playing Final Fantasy VII, like you're just gonna mash attack through most of the regular enemies, right?
Yep.
You're gonna save like the big spells and stuff for bosses. The boss fights I think work relatively well, although the party AI is questionable sometimes. I'm just not a big fan of games where you don't control all of your party members.
And that's why Wasteland 2 is the game for you, Austin.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, it's going to be good. I better be in your party. And you better not kill me, asshole.
Most of the stuff on here is about like the way that it transitions from the Shadar arc to the White Witch arc, and I agree with that stuff. But I'm just trying to find other things I want to address here.
What about people who suggested the game was too hairy?
Are you okay, Johnny?
Oh yeah, I'm fine. Do you think that criticisms about Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, being too hairy are indicative of video game body image changing over the last couple of years? Are we dead into the natural presence of what a naked video game looks like?
Okay, I think you're done. We're done with this topic. You clearly want to move on.
No. I was just asking. I was trying to make some filler.
I know. I guess that's all I have to say. If anybody has any other questions or wants to discuss it, I guess I'll just talk in the comments. I started 2 other games. I didn't finish either of them, but I'll talk about them as far as I can. I started Disgaea 3.
Of course you didn't finish Disgaea 3.
Because it's a fucking...
Even I know. Like, the moment somebody says Disgaea, I'm like, oh, that would probably take me till 2015 to finish.
Fucking voluminous goddamn JRPG. The reason I started it, even knowing it was going to be quite an investment, is because I've recently reviewed Disgaea D2, like 2 months ago. I guess that's not really recent, but in my review I said I don't know if I could go back and play the old ones because of how polished and how just perfectly tuned all of the different elements are. So I wanted to go back and see if that was true. So
is 3 your favorite? Because I would assume that after finishing D2 that you'd be like, let's see if my favorite stands up.
No. 3 is probably my least favorite.
Well, why would you go back to that one then?
Because that's the one I have on my shelf, just at the moment. That's just how it worked out.
Okay.
It's weird. It's caught in a space between the first 2, which are like almost mechanically identical, but just feature different characters and stories. And then 4, which is like it's when I went to HD sprites and like really started, coming into the next generation.
Yeah.
3 is, it's on the PS3, but it uses PS2 assets. It's visually it's a PS2 game.
Right.
And they tried to change a bunch of stuff that they didn't really need to change. It's a weird, it's not bad. It's a good game. It's just in the strange middle school phase of the franchise where it wasn't quite sure where it was supposed to go. And I think it basically my time spent with it has supported my thoughts that D2 ruins me for the old games because so much of it feels unoptimized. there's so there's more menus and more like fiddling and more minutia to deal with than I'm just okay with at this point. It just feels like it needs to be pared down and focused. And I mean, it has been since, but I agree with myself is what I guess I'm saying.
Right.
That they fixed a lot of things. I know you haven't played it, so we're not going to be able to discuss the mana economy or anything, but
the mana economy?
The mana economy, because in the first two games, mana was used to introduce bills into the Senate. In this one, it's used for that, but also to buy skills for your characters. And it's like that completely throws off the balance of like the way these things naturally progress. You used to learn them from just like leveling up and using them. It's a mess in that sense. It's not bad, but it's like it's messy, I guess. And
I get you.
It's not optimal.
So what else did you play then?
I started Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney, the fourth lawyer game from Capcom. It's the continuity there is effed. There's the first three Phoenix Wright games, and then Apollo Justice, which I'm playing, and then there's the new Phoenix Wright game, and then there's the two Miles Edgeworth games. It's difficult to keep track of.
Yeah,
but,
I know what you're talking about.
It's a visual novel about lawyers.
Yep.
Phoenix Wright is in it,
yep.
But he's a weird old guy in like a strange stocking cap.
So does it play like a Phoenix Wright game then?
Yeah, essentially.
Except that it stars a dude named Apollo Justice.
It does, and that's the problem. Like a lot, I think it's kind of like the black sheep of the series because it's when they tried to basically replace Phoenix Wright as the main character, and people liked him, so that didn't go over very well. But actually, I'm like almost at the end of the second case, and I don't hate it. Not yet, at least. I think the new characters are just as interesting as the old ones, and I think the old ones were basically done. Like, they got all the mileage out of, like, Maya's mystic shtick that they possibly could. Like, I just feel like it was a natural point to try to move on. It doesn't have any of the, like, improvements that, like, the Miles Edgeworth game I played has, and I haven't played Dual Destinies yet, so I don't know exactly how that bridges to there. But, it basically just feels like the next logical step for the Ace Attorney series. The way I heard it was like, you know, it's the same but worse, I guess. But I don't know. It seems fine to me so far. I don't really mind them shitting all over Phoenix as a character. I guess that's the thing. People fear change.
Yeah, they do.
Does that? I know. Like, remember when they rebooted Dante and DMC and everyone lost their goddamn minds? Like, there's a point where I can understand desecrating what a character was supposed to be. But I don't mind just, like, letting them naturally evolve.
No, I'm with you. I think there comes a point in time.
Yeah, I mean, it was either that or just let them spin their wheels in the same fucking rut forever. I don't have any problem with what they try to do here.
No, I mean, you know, you pretty much you have to try something, or else you run the risk of stagnating and losing kind of the bankability of your, particularly if the appeal is based in your character. You know, I mean, we can talk about like Final Fantasy or Call of Duty and how, you know, there's not really a consistent universe in them.
Mm-hmm.
They visit old universes and old characters and things like that, but it's not always necessarily the case. But when the chief draw, when the chief appeal of your work is your main character or the way your characters interrelate or something like that, yeah, you run the risk of stagnating really, really quickly.
Yeah. It's just, they did 3 games of, like, will they, won't they with Phoenix and Maya, and it's like, well, at this point, I don't care anymore, so it's probably just best to move on. There's only so long you can sustain that. And, like, Phoenix Wright's always been a niche thing to begin with, so...
Yeah.
I can understand the way they went with it. I'm always been fascinated by video game characters actually growing up. Like, it's such a, like, everyone's so static. Like, Master Chief's always going to be Master Chief. You know, Samus is always going to be Samus. Mario is always going to be Mario. But when you see, like, you haven't played Metal Gear Revengeance yet, but when you see Sunny and she's aged, like, 20 years, I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Like, I don't know. Those kind of things are just interesting to me because it seems like most video game characters are in some kind of, like, timeless bubble. So seeing Phoenix, like, as a mid-30s, like, unshaven bum is, like, funny to me, not sacrilegious.
Yeah, yeah.
Speaking of Revengeance, do you know that's coming out like any day now for PC?
Apparently so. Any day now. Any day now, Austin. I'm excited.
I would be excited. Spoilers, it's going to make my Game of the Year list.
I'm not surprised about that.
But
I'm not sure I have a Game of the Year list this year.
What would you... Because I'm working on it right now. I'm coordinating with BT staff to put together our end-of-year lists. Like I said before, I want to wait until Republic and Walking Dead hit before we drop them. But do you have anything in mind? Were you thinking like Papers, Please? Or
Actually, Papers, Please was kind of lingering in the back of my mind as being sort of like, ooh. And honestly, I was also thinking about maybe Saints Row the 4th. Not because,
Not on polish and technical achievement.
Not on polish technical achievement or because it was the best game of the year, but it was certainly one that I had the most fun playing.
No, I'm so with you there. Everything you just said, exactly. Stupid gobs of fun.
Yeah, for pure technical achievement, I might throw Arma 3 on there. Although it's not really, I still feel like they've kind of like feeling out whether or not it's a done product yet because the campaign's still up in the air. There's gotta be some other, like,
I don't know how we're gonna do it because last year we did where everyone on staff just picked a game of the year, but I've been talking with like Sean and Robert and they're like, oh, I have 7 different games I want to talk about, and I was like, you can't. Like that's just
yeah.
And they're like, well, I want to, and it's like, I hate you. I just hate everything about you. What do you think about The Last of Us? Would that be in your wheelhouse?
Was that even this year? It feels like it came out so long ago.
No, it came out this year, like 6 months ago.
Because I guess I ignored it because it came out on the PS3, and I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll play that when I get a chance to. Yeah, I could conceivably easily throw Last of Us on a Game of the Year list. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm looking through a couple of things right now, but I mean, obviously, when you say, Austin, what's your favorite game of the year? Fucking Fire Emblem Awakening.
Even I know that.
Not a question. Here's the problem. That's also the Game of the Year pick for James and Robert.
I might put Payday 2 up there. I might actually put Payday 2 up there. They kind of fucked some things up, but I loved what they were doing.
That's an outsider.
It is an outsider, but I mean, like, again, it's sort of in the vein of Saints Row 4, where I'm kind of like, you know what? I had a load of fun playing that game. Shadow Warrior 2. I had a lot of fun playing Shadow Warrior.
Mm.
That's really weird. This year for me, it seems like, possibly with the exception of Papers, Please, it was like the year of games I had fun playing.
Also, that one game I had an existential crisis because of the unrelenting misery and paperwork.
Well, I mean, there was that, and then there was also Amnesia: Machine for Pigs.
Which I would imagine you would get serious pushback if you tried to say that was Game of the Year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think I would suggest it was Game of the Year at all, but I found it an unaffecting experience.
Yeah, you accepted it for what it was, not what you wanted it to be.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, for that I have Soma.
That's going to be a thing.
Yes, that's going to be a thing. A scary thing.
We'll keep an eye on that. I mean, those are the 3 games I played. I don't know if what we're going to do for next week. If everyone in the comments is like, no, I need podcasts for listening while driving to the in-laws, then maybe we'll record something on the weekend and post it up on next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully by then I've finished and maybe move on to something else. But that's basically me. This is just a slow news time. So basically all end-of-year features and just general slacking off for a while.
Yep. I get you.
That's the show. That's the cast.
Before we go, actually, I want to throw one shout out to one of our listeners who commented on the last episode. I'm not sure how to pronounce your call sign, dude, but I think it's Himev or something like that. You were all like, yeah, if you like complicated PC games that require a lot of investment, have I got some ideas for you? I want to tell you thanks for the suggestions. I've played pretty much every game in the X series, so don't you worry about that. Same with old school Microprose, Master of Orion 1 and 2, as well as, regrettably, 3. Darklands, and a number of other ones that they did back in the day. XCOM, of course. As far as roguelikes are concerned, because you suggested roguelikes. The problem that I have with roguelikes is that as you learn the systems, you fail the game repeatedly. And it's not about, like, you know, coming to learn the game as you grow as a character, but it's like growing as a player and learning the game while failing horribly at it continuously. There's something about the start and stop nature of roguelike games that have limited appeal for me. I mean, I've enjoyed some in the past. You know, like I mentioned FTL earlier in this episode. I really rather liked FTL, which is kind of obviously sort of a space roguelike. But yeah. Thank you for the suggestions, though. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
So I can't believe you've never had pink eye.
I probably have.
I mean,
I just don't remember it.
You must have had something like pink eye.
I was probably like 5. I don't remember. I can barely remember what I had for breakfast, let alone something that happened to me when I was 5. I have a terrible memory.
Yeah. Pink eye's pretty gross.
Yeah, anytime your body is like squirting shit out of it, like, just none of that is good.
Yep. Stay away from that. Definitely don't Google it.
That reminds me when we were talking about, like, intestinal parasites that one week, and I was, like, Googling some of that stuff while we were talking.
Why?
I was, like, super uncomfortable for, like, 2 weeks. It was really upsetting.
I didn't mean for you to Google that.
Human bodies are just fucking disgusting.
They're pretty foul.
We were just dirty meat sacks.
Yeah. Now I feel kind of ashamed of my body.
Anybody want to feel bad about yourself? Listen to the podcast. Get body issues. Good stuff.
Oh, absolutely. We're all about it. It's kind of tough to follow that up.
Yeah. It's a dark note.
That's a dark note to end on. Well, it was nice knowing you.
Maybe I'll edit something happier at the end. A short jaunty tune. We'll find out.
Best day ever.
I'll be just as surprised as you are when I finally find out what I'm going to do with this episode. So